Alright, I do my first video quickly here on Koko's going on Adopt Me this morning. So Koko is a young male. He was found as a stray. And there's a couple of stray things that we're seeing about him to give you a heads up about who he is. The first thing is he's eating very well and very eagerly. So strays typically do that. They are really appreciative of having food. Sometimes they tend to overeat. Typically with strays, they're not fussy. They'll eat just about anything, but because they tend to overeat, you really want to feed a high protein, a good quality, typically no grain diet, so that they don't balloon up and become real chubby. So because he's not fussy, that's great. We're starting him on Merrick Healthy Weight, I think it's called. Perfect Bistro, I don't know, I'll have to look that up. They recently changed their name and their company. But that's a no grain, no byproduct dry food, and he's getting wet food as well. Again, not fussy and eating very well. Using the litter box well, because he's eating well, we have ample production in the litter box. He's a bit messy in the box, so we have a lot of over the side litter. This might be a candidate for a box, first of all, that's actually larger than this box. This is our normal size. It says large on the label, but it really is kind of a medium. They come in much bigger sizes, which I think are labeled jumbo. So he might be a good candidate for that, or for a high-sided box as well, to help with all of this litter kicking that's happening. Don't have him out yet integrated with other cats and stuff. We need to wait and get him to the vet and make sure that he is quote-unquote clean. And by clean, what I mean is many times the cats that were outside as strays were exposed to all sorts of things, and when they come in, we do give them a bath to rid their fur of any contaminants so they don't bring it into the center. This is a cat to me that looks like he possibly had ringworm in the past. Ringworm is a fungus that is very common out in the soil, and sometimes when you see cats and they have some small specklings of different colored hair, and it's kind of hard to see, but there's like a little spot here that's sort of black hair, and there's a couple of spots like on between his shoulder blades and stuff that the hair is sort of a little bit of a mottle look, and sometimes that indicates there were some naked areas there previously and the hair's grown back in. Sometimes that just means they were in some rough and tumbles outside with other cats, and other times it could have been a previous ringworm infection. Now, don't be alarmed. That doesn't mean, oh my gosh, he's got it now. We culture them, we bathe them, we make sure they're clean and clear before they go home. So I'm just mentioning that as an aside, but it's really not a concern as far as adopting this guy goes. But we do keep him isolated for a little bit longer because of that before we integrate him with the other cats. He wasn't neutered when he was picked up. He has already been neutered now, and he will see our vet tomorrow just for an exam. His go-home date, I think, is that first weekend in June, and I'm kind of pulling that out of my head, but I think that's if I remember correctly. So let's get to his personality. You can see him rolling around and doing some lovies here. He is a very, very sweet, loving guy with fantastic potential. He's not going to be suited, right now anyway, for a home with small children or very noisy or busy. He's sort of got that inexperience in a home environment situation, a little bit worried about humans. Again, very typical for a stray cat that maybe hasn't had the best experience with humans when they're outside. You know, a lot of times there are cats that are, humans that are shooing them away or kicking at them, throwing things, whatever. So they have sort of a guarded approach to human beings, and you have to kind of work through that. It doesn't take long, particularly when you've got a guy who is showing the typical male seal Siamese, which is extremely affectionate and friendly characteristics. So but I don't want him to go into a super busy home to start with. I think kids in the future, if you're a young family planning kids, are going to be absolutely fine. But right now, small kids, because he does shrink back a little bit, hides a bit, a little bit alarmed at some things, I think that's probably not the best match for him. Certainly older kids would be fine. I have not yet tried him with a dog, and I can do that over the next couple of days. As far as other cats go, I'm going to guess he's going to be just fine. Probably wouldn't put him with a male the same age, because since he was an unneutered male previously out on the streets, he may have picked up some dominant type behaviors as they challenged each other for territory. So I wouldn't do that. I think most likely, highly likely, you know, a young female, older female, even an older male, you know, sort of 8+ is going to be fine for this guy. Older kids, like I said, are fine. So the criteria for the home, more on the quiet side. He's young. He will be playful and active once he settles in, so keep that in mind. He certainly will be a lover, affectionate, cuddly, snuggly cat. You've got to be okay with the litter kicking. You know, you could look into a closed litter box perhaps, but there's going to be some litter over the side. And you are going to need to watch his food intake. I don't want to see this guy, you know, 5 years from now at 20 pounds or something like that. So you really are going to need to watch that he doesn't become overweight, because he's a solid cat right now already. I didn't look at his weight before I started the video, but I'm going to guess, you know, 9 to 10 pounds. That's what we got now. We'll have more videos as we get to know him.